So now let's conclude today's action for the X30 Super Shifter Championship for their third and final qualifying heat. A win apiece for the two men on the front row of the starting grid, Sten-Dorian Pedemargi and Kasper Korjus, both men of Estonia. They shake hands again on a fair fight, as they have done so much over the last 48 hours or so. Nico Rohrwasser and Carlos Leon once again from the second row of the starting grid. Barry Pullinger of Great Britain and Thierry Del Rey of Belgium on the third row of the grid, my apologies. Then the two Swiss drivers, Philippe Siever and Michel Biviga. And then we have Kevin Ludi alongside the French talent Florent Jimenez. Then we have Antti Rameau of Estonia, Lionel Chalet of Belgium and João Dias of Portugal, as the 13 drivers get themselves ready for action once again in this fascinating battle and a titanic grudge match between these two Estonians at the front of the field. It's a friendly but very intense rivalry, Sten-Dorian Pedemargi and Kasper Korjus. But the friendly nature of the rivalry boils it down to what it is. It's great racing, and that's what this sport is all about. So all those people that had a decent vantage point have now decided that they're going to try and make their way to the start-finish line once again, because the X30 Super Shifters means a standing start, and that's going to be pretty spectacular. We all know just how impressive they are as they launch off the line. They will head out onto the circuit for their two formation exploratory laps, and then they will come back onto the starting grid for a standing start. Absolute bullet run to the first corner, and these karts really do accelerate ridiculously quickly. If you consider how light these things are and how fast they are, they're going up the throttle pretty quickly. These karts accelerate 0 to 60 in similar time to the likes of your Bugatti Veyron. It is incredibly quick. So away they go from the pits and out onto the circuit. The third and final X30 Super Shifter heat begins with Sten-Dorian Pedemargi and Kasper Korjus on the front row of the grid once more. Nico Rohrwasser and Carlos Leon on the second. Barry Pullinger and Thierry Del Rey on the third row of the grid. Philippe Siever and Michel Biviga on the fourth row. Kevin Ludi and Flo Jimenez are there on the fifth. Then it's Antti Rameau, Lionel Chalet and João Dias. So as the karts line their way up around the circuit, it's going to be interesting to see which of the two Estonians at the front of the field, Pedemargi or Korjus, are going to get the better of their opponent this time around. They've each had a victory. Korjus had to fight his way to get there in the first heat. Pedemargi made it look absolute plain sailing in the second, dominating in an absolute rout. But that doesn't mean it's going to go that way the third time of asking, and it doesn't mean that either of the two of them are going to get a victory. A lot of this race comes down to how beautiful your start is. They've been practicing their starts most of the day in the practice sessions yesterday. And in the warm-up this morning, there are a few of them giving it a bit of a practice start as well. You get that right, and the rest of the race will just flow to you. It is an incredible sight when these karts go particularly spectacularly around the circuit. Now, hang on a minute. I think Antti Rameau is coming into the pits. Yes, Antti Rameau is in the pits. Pit lane for Antti Rameau. The Estonian looks like he's out of the race before it's even started. Now, that is dramatic for Antti Rameau. So it looks as though he's going to be starting this race from the back of the field if he gets to start it at all. So the mechanics are there just behind those mechanics that you saw on the shot, just trying to get him back to the edge of the pit lane to get him to start. He should just have enough time to get back onto the grid and take up his standing start. The exit to the pit lane is just before the finish line here at Salbris, so he should just about have enough time, if they get his kart going again, to start him from the grid, but he's going to have a cold start straight up to the line. Now, it's going to be a tricky one for Antti Rameau, the Estonian. He's only going to have had one exploratory lap, but if he can get his kart back onto the grid in time, he will be able to take up the start. But it's definitely not the way the Estonian wanted to get his third qualifying heat underway, especially when he was one of the drivers in Valencia a few weeks ago who could have been in contention for the victory. He was definitely battling away for it. He doesn't seem to have had any luck at all here at Salbris in terms of mechanical sympathy. He is there at the edge of the pit lane, so they should be able to let him go out onto the circuit and take up residence on the grid. Now, will he have to start dead last, or can he take up his position on the grid? I think he's going to have to start from dead last. Okay, so Antti Rameau is going to take up the start, but the karts are in position. Pedemargi, Korjus, Rohrwasser, Leon, Pullinger, Del Rey. The lights will come on, and when they go out, we'll be racing. Lights come on. Now, great start from the second row for Rohrwasser, but he's not quite going to be able to overhaul our race leader, Pitamagi, but he is going to get past Courgeus. So a cracking start from Rohrwasser. It's pushing and shoving through turn 2 as Rohrwasser gets himself slotted neatly into turn 2 and then turn 3 into second position. So down the back straight, it's all gone beautifully if your name is Nico Rohrwasser in his second place behind Stendoni and Pitamagi. At least Antti Ramo is actually in the race. He's still in dead last at the moment, trying to fight his way forward, but at least he made the start at all. And now in fourth position behind Casper Courgeus is Thierry Del Rey, the Belgian. He's going straight for it into third place. Thierry Del Rey is absolutely determined to forget what happened earlier on with his mechanical failure. He wants to get straight back to the front, and he wants to win this one. Stendoni and Pitamagi leads, Rohrwasser second, Del Rey third, Courgeus fourth. Fifth is Biffiger, then it's Kevin Ludi in front of Philip Siever, and then it's Barry Pullinger, not having the greatest of starts from his point of view, but if he keeps up with Siever, he'll be on the high to a good showing. Flo Jimenez is in 9th place, then it's Carlos Leon, and then we have Lionel Chalet. Antti Ramo's up to 12th now, past Joao Diaz. It's a great little tussle with the Spirit Racing drivers, 5th, 6th, 7th, having a bit of a squabble at the moment, led by Biffiger, then Ludi, then Siever. Ludi's going to try and get past Michel Biffiger fairly quickly. He doesn't want to get stuck behind him if he's got any chance of winning this race at all. And with 10 laps to go, he's got plenty of time. But has he got the patience and the tenacity to run with Biffiger in the early stages of this race? At the moment, the answer is yes. Ludi still tucked up behind Michel Biffiger for P5. Siever's in there as well as the sun is starting to descend now over the skyline here at Salbris. But out in front it is Stendoni and Pitamagi. Rohrwasser's trying to keep with him. Third place Thierry Del Rey. Fastest in the first sector, fastest in the second sector, fastest lap of all. The first man to go sub 60, Thierry Del Rey, is fired up for this one. 59.801 from Thierry Del Rey, and that makes him the only man thus far to lap the circuit in under a minute. He is pushing. The Spirit Racing cards are still there, 5th, 6th, 7th. Biffiger in front of Ludi and Siever. But the man on the move is definitely the man in third place. Thierry Del Rey pushing hard to try and close up the gap to Rohrwasser, and in doing so, close up the gap to Stendoni and Pitamagi as Siever makes the move on his teammate. Siever makes the move past Ludi for 6th position, and that has held up Kevin Ludi. Now that's going to bring Pullinger and Jimenez back into the battle. Carlos Leon's not too far away, and then we've got Lionel Chalet and Antti Ramo. Joao Diaz still there in 13th position, still running well, but Siever versus Ludi is getting to be a bit spicy for 6th position. You're not catching Biffiger, we're losing time to him, let me have a go. So they continue on, pushing very hard indeed through that first corner. Stendoni and Pitamagi. Fastest lap again from Thierry Del Rey, a 59.6 this time. Thierry Del Rey still ridiculously quick on the back of Rohrwasser. They're trying to chip away at Stendoni and Pitamagi's pace. But this is very good from Thierry Del Rey, a 59.622, fastest lap of the race. Can he make the move down on the inside of Rohrwasser? Well, at the moment, he's trying to cooperate with him to move closer to Stendoni and Pitamagi, but if that isn't going to work, then he needs to make the move sooner rather than later, and I think he's starting to work out, and I don't think I can work with this guy. I'm losing time to Pitamagi. I need to get through and start chasing him myself. So maybe up towards 14, he'll get a crack at it. Out of 13. Oh, Siever's lost a bit of ground through 13. This might be a chance for Ludi to get him. He's closed up on him, but Ludi hasn't found the way through yet, and that's giving Barry Pullinger of Great Britain a chance to close up in the Dan Holland racing machine. Over the line again, Pitamagi, Rohrwasser, Thierry Del Rey in the Mach 1, pushing hard on the Spirit Racing driver. Rohrwasser, winner of the Valencia Winter Cup, don't forget the 6:15. The 6:22, Thierry Del Rey wants something a bit more than that. Stendoni and Pitamagi leading the way and setting fastest lap to get away from these two. And Thierry Del Rey needs to overtake him quickly here because look, Casper Courgeus is coming along for the party. So Rohrwasser, Del Rey, Courgeus, then it's Biffiger, Siever and Ludi, Barry Pullinger, Florent Jimenez, then it is Carlos Leon, Antti Ramo, Lionel Chalet and Joao Diaz. Still going to be a tough one. Whoa, it's going to get a little bit loose there, and I have a feeling that we might see a change for second. We do. Thierry Del Rey gets through, and so does Cautious. Rob Basser gets hung out to dry. So Thierry Del Rey gets through in a second place now. He's been released, and Cautious has lost a bit of ground to Thierry Del Rey as well. What is Del Rey going to do now that he's on his own? Can he close up on Stentorian Pedamaghi? Well, he lost half a second to him on that lap. The gap has opened up to a second and a half. Now that Del Rey's got through in a second, can he close up? As Siva battles with Biffiger, Ludi goes through as well. So Siva and Ludi both get past Michel Biffiger. So it's a real shuffle in the spirit cards. Now here comes Barry Pullinger to have a go at Michel Biffiger. Dives down the inside. That'll do nicely. Thank you very much. And so Barry Pullinger moves up into P7 past Michel Biffiger. It's fair to say that Barry Pullinger has been going faster and faster as the day progresses. If he can get himself a decent grid slot for the pre-final tomorrow, he may just have a crack at the podium here. Up in the lead, Stentorian Pedamaghi, the Estonian, running well. Looking superfluous as ever, but Thierry Del Rey, the Belgian, is trying to break down that gap. It's a second and a half with 5 laps to go. So across the line, what can he do? Well, he's losing time to Pedamaghi. He's not gaining it because Pedamaghi's just set a blistering third sector to make that the fastest lap of the race thus far. 59.442 for Pedamaghi. And that means that Del Rey is not really catching him at the moment. He's only a 1/10 of a second off his times, but crucially, he's not doing enough to break down the deficit to Pedamaghi. The gap is at 1.5, so he was quicker than him in the first sector. But this is a long game, and unfortunately, 5 laps is not going to be long enough to break down that deficit. He's got to hope that Pedamaghi has an incident or has a problem or makes a mistake. At the moment, I'm not sure Pedamaghi is going to have any of those 3 things happen to him. He's looking absolutely supreme out in front. And it looks fairly neat and tidy at the moment for Stentorian Pedamaghi to take his second win in 3 starts. Second place, it is still Thierry Del Rey, the Belgian, star of Benelux DD2 and Gearbox karting in general, going well here. Third is Cautious, then Rohrwasser, Siva, Ludi, Pullinger, Biffiger. There is the local hero, Flora Jimenez in the 632, being caught by the Spaniard Carlos Leon. There's your 613, that is Michel Biffiger, was in 5th place at one point, but now he's had both his teammates, Philip Siva, Kevin Ludi, and even Dan Holland Racing's driver, Barry Pullinger, going through. So there they come. Down onto turn 6, taking it nicely in the stride. The reliability's been much better over the last 2 races, including this one. Race 1, we had quite a few cars coming to a stop before the race was over with mechanical difficulties, but here it's looking a lot more neat and tidy. And the karts are a little bit more simpatico with the drivers towards the end of proceedings. It is a bit cooler, I think, which helps as well. Makes the karts go a little bit faster in these conditions, but it also helps the stability of the karts as they run around the circuit. With 3 to go, Pedamaghi still leads, 1.8 ahead of Thierry Del Rey. Cautious is actually starting to gain a little bit of ground on Thierry Del Rey. He was just fractionally faster in the 3rd sector. There's nothing between them in the 1st sector at all. Another new fastest lap for Stentorian Pedamaghi, a 59.345. He is now the fastest in all 3 sectors. He's just gone sub 20 seconds in the 1st sector. There's 2 others who have done that as well. One of them is Thierry Del Rey. The other is Philip Siva. Philip Siva is now purple in the 1st split. So Siva's kart is starting to come to him at the bitter end, closing down on his teammate, Nico Rohrwasser. Can he gain some ground? Well, Ludi's definitely not got the speed he had at Valencia, and Barry Pullinger is looking to take full advantage of that. Stentorian Pedamaghi, fast in the 2nd sector, not as fast as Thierry Del Rey though. Thierry Del Rey even quicker. So into the 1st corner once again with 2 to go. Del Rey is 1.9 seconds back as Stentorian Pedamaghi does another blisteringly fast final sector to do a 59.210. That fastest lap is getting faster and faster and faster as the Estonian continues to stretch out the gap. But it's Pedamaghi from Thierry Del Rey and Kasper Gorgius. Then it is Nico Rohrwasser from Philip Siva and Kevin Ludi, Barry Pullinger, Michel Biffiger, Flora Jimenez, Carlos Leon, Antti Rameau, Leon Chalet, and Joao Diaz. 1.5 laps to go, and for Stentorian Pedamaghi, this is just a cakewalk in the park. The only thing he hasn't done is brought the picnic. Philip Siva, 1st sector, he is purple once again. So Philip Siever pushing hard to close up on his teammate Nico Rohrwasser. We may get one final twist in the tail here. Meanwhile, Barry Pullinger is spitting out the exhaust fumes of Kevin Luddy. So those two are battling away. Stentorian Pitamagi goes into the final lap. He's checked out. He's going to get this race done. But Barry Pullinger is right up close with Kevin Luddy. He might be able to get him before the end of this race is out. Philip Siever likewise on Nico Rohrwasser. So 4th position and 6th position still up for grabs and still battling hard, those two drivers for those 2 positions, as it were. Rohrwasser versus Siever, very close indeed. Luddy versus Pullinger, even closer, but this man just stretching his legs out in front. Stentorian Pitamagi has extended the gap to 2 seconds. If Del Rey had got ahead of Nico Rohrwasser a little bit faster, there's an argument to suggest he might have had a chance to catch him, but not if you're Stentorian Pitamagi. He's back right off. He doesn't need to push at this rate, but he's still doing so. Out of the final couple of corners for the 2nd time today, Stentorian Pitamagi is going to get the victory. 2 out of 3 for Pitamagi. That will put him on pole position. Checkered flag. Brilliant race from Pitamagi. 2nd place for Thierry Del Rey. 3rd for Casper Gorjus. Nico Rohrwasser, Philip Siever, Kevin Luddy, Barry Pullinger. From Michel Beviga, Florent Jimenez, Carlos Leon, Antti Rameau. And then the finishing off will be Leonor Chalet and Joao Diaz. Fastest lap of the race in the end, Stentorian Pitamagi from pole position. He gets the triple with a 59.210. Thierry Del Rey did his very best to catch him, but once he had that clean advantage, he was never ever going to catch him. And at an average speed of 90.27 kilometers per hour, Stentorian Pitamagi cleans up for the 2nd time in 3 starts in the X30 Super Shifters. Pitamagi wins again from Thierry Del Rey in 2nd, Casper Gorjus in 3rd, Nico Rohrwasser is 4th from Philip Siever and Kevin Luddy, Barry Pullinger in 7th place, Michel Bifiger is 8th, then Florent Jimenez, Carlos Leon, Antti Rameau, Leonor Chalet and Joao Diaz finish up the field. That's the last of the action for the X30 Super Shifters today. They will go into their pre-final tomorrow with 2 races to sort out who will take the winner's trophy from the first round of the 2018 IAME X30 Euro Series in Super Shifter. But so far, it's Pitamagi all the way.